We recently launched Stiolto in the US. This is a dual bronchodilator with a combination of olodaterol and tiotropium. Tiotropium, the active ingredient in Spiriva. Stiolto shows significant benefits in terms of lung function over Spiriva. What we've done here in Chest in Montreal is to show some more data that further profiles the drug and shows that across all types of patients, whatever age they are, degree of severity, that they respond well to Stiolto. I mean, you only have to walk around the Congress to see how many companies are now working in the COPD as well as asthma fields, and even in idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. The interest in respiratory research has increased exponentially, and we do find new mechanisms, we find new ways of treating patients. I think sometimes it's also about the debate around what is the most appropriate treatment, because different people have got different views on how aggressively we should manage the disease from the start and what is perhaps the role for inhaled corticosteroids. I think being involved in that debate is very exciting just now because there is so much discussion. Well, we've got a long heritage in COPD. Spiriva has been on the market now for over 10 years, and patients and physicians have grown to appreciate what it brings to the management of COPD. For us to now launch a product that contains tiotropium, the active ingredient in Spiriva, but have an additional benefit caused by a further bronchodilation, we believe gives physicians comfort. They're familiar with our products, they're familiar with the Respimat device, and therefore for them it's a natural progression to move to Stiolto. Stiolto was approved earlier on in this year by the FDA, and we launched in June. So it's exciting times. There's a lot of competition out there for treating patients with COPD, and I think the debate is becoming very interesting around the use of bronchodilators versus other types of therapy. So while we try to demonstrate the benefits of Stiolto and open the debate up for preferred mechanisms of action in managing this disease, we think it's important to showcase our data. Speaking to physicians, there's no doubt that they see value in, I think one of the important things is finding these patients and treating them early, and in some ways Stiolto was an opportunity to call to arms physicians, particularly in primary care as well as secondary care, to find these patients, to treat them aggressively, to not let them be symptomatic, to not go for an incremental approach, but to use the most effective bronchodilating tools that they have available. And we believe Stiolto is that drug. We studied nearly 15,000 patients in the clinical trial program, the Tornado program, and that showed that patients, whatever age they are, whatever severity they are, they all respond. And interestingly, actually, patients with less severe disease respond more significantly. So there's a real impetus and emphasis required to finding those patients at an early stage so that they can benefit maximally from the treatment. Well, I think we know that the guidelines suggest that the treatment of COPD should be on a foundation of bronchodilator therapy, and that there is a place for ICS, inhaled corticosteroids, when perhaps patients need more, perhaps in certain patients where exacerbations might be an issue. But speaking to experts here and in previous congresses and in my day-to-day job, it's clear that those who are thought leaders see bronchodilation as a very, very key component of the management of COPD, and to maximize that as much as possible is a really important goal of therapy. No therapy so far has been shown to impact lung function decline. What we can do is we can improve lung function at the moment of the the prescription being initiated, and then the decline continues similarly beyond that. So in terms of disease modification, there's still some way to go, not necessarily because our drugs don't do it, but we certainly haven't been able to demonstrate it yet. However, we are looking at clinical trials where we can perhaps show that sort of benefit. Patients are significantly impacted by COPD from an very early stage. In fact, a third of patients, when they're diagnosed, have lost as much as 50% of their lung function. That's a dramatic figure when you think about it, and therefore the imperative, I would argue, is to maximise their lung function at the earliest possible juncture. So whether these patients are relatively mild in stage 2 of their disease or more severe, we believe there's a place for Stiolto across the broad spectrum. And as I say, for me there's a real call to arms, a real challenge to physicians to be as aggressive and thoughtful with their management of these patients as they can, because these patients are having a significant impact on their day-to-day lives because of the disease. In terms of the safety profile of Stiolto, we've been able to show that compared to each of the monocomponents, there are no increase in adverse events. There are some side effects in a number of patients associated with the LAMA and LABA components that you would see in the mono drugs, but nothing is seen over and above tiotropium or olodaterol, which are of course used in daily practice already. There's potentially certainly more coming from BI. Again, as I say, we don't rest on our laurels as leaders in this area. We've got a very active pipeline. We are also, as you know, and as I said earlier, very involved in pushing the bounds in terms of the treatment of asthma as well. And of course, OFEV now is an effective treatment for the management of IPF, which previously had no approved therapies in the US. So it's very exciting times for us. We remain thought leaders, scientific leaders. Research is very much at the basis of what we do, and respiratory remains our hallowed turf, so to speak.